on a surface, let it soak in. The heat helps it soak in. And so today, with the winter months almost here, one of the things I wanted to do is get ready for the winter. Get my gloves all prepared, my leather riding suit. Once a year I do this, sometimes twice a year, depending how many times you have to ride in the rain or the snow. But I wanted to focus on the first thing, on the gloves that I use and why I use them. Now, I have a unique thing with my gloves. I have problems with my fingers. I've had multiple surgeries on my pinkies to keep my hands straight. I have bent fingers. So getting gloves on and off after the surgeries is a real problem. Sometimes it gets to be, if the gloves are not comfortable, it gets to be a real problem. But most of all, I have to take, on the videos that I make for my channel, the ride videos, these gloves go on and off sometime 100 times a day. You stop, take a picture. You obviously can't take a picture with the gloves on. Take a picture, take a video, this, do this, do this. So being able to put the gloves on and off conveniently and easily is a major thing for me, maybe more than for an average person. I don't know. Now, I always wear, at least the last couple of years, these gauntlet gloves, which I showed on a previous video how I stretched this out so that they would be easier to get on and off. Now, a lot of people don't wear gauntlet gloves because they're a pain in the neck to get on and off. And another thing, they always have all this carbon fiber reinforcement. The two fingers on the end are sewn together for, these are really track day gloves. But the biggest thing they have is a lot of protection for your wrist and arm. If you go sliding along into a ditch, these really save your bacon. Now, why would I be saying this? Because I have witnessed many track day accidents and street accidents where people have gotten their hands really chewed up. And it doesn't take much to chew up your hands and your knuckles. So these gloves, to me, they're worth investing in and they're worth maintaining. And I'm going to try to show in this video how I maintain my gloves. Now, over the years, I've had many pair of gloves, and I've had these that, well, I won't mention any names, but I got for free. And I had a bunch of these gloves that I used to like. The reason I used to wear them, because it was very easy to get the gloves on and off when I was shooting video. But after seeing several people chew up their hands in relatively minor accidents, I decided I'd get those gauntlet gloves. They were expensive, they're Alpenstar, and I think they were worth it. But now they need to be maintained. And it's uncanny how if you go to a track day, the first thing you see is almost everybody has gauntlet gloves. The downside of gauntlet gloves, they are a pain in the neck to get on and off. And I've actually ridden with people who have, it's taken them so long, you don't want to start the bike until they're done putting their gloves on. It can be annoying, but I got a couple of tips that may help. So the first thing I wanted to show, and this would apply, I guess, to all gloves, but gauntlet gloves more than anything else. Normally, gauntlet gloves have a strap here so they can't come off, and they're made to be difficult to put on because normally on a track day, you're going to put them on and you're going to keep them on for the whole session or the whole race. But what happens in the world of windy videos, these gloves have to go on and off. Now, you see, I can get them on really quick. Gloves, just like shoes, have to be a reasonably tight fit, a comfortable fit, and not a sloppy fit. If you put if you put the wrong size gloves on, it's hard to do anything. But anyway, this is one of the tricks that works every time. You get gauntlet gloves, you're going to be happy with them. If you don't need the strap, and I don't because I'm not using these for track days anymore, so I took the strap off. You can take any can, bottle, anything, stretch these over. This is such a good tip. I love this. Now, once it's like this is putting a little bit of a stretch on it. You got one of two things. In my house, what I do is I put this up by a heating vent and leave it there when I'm not using the gloves, and it just gradually, leather responds to heat. If you watch custom car shows, when they bend leather around, they heat it. It's not a secret how to do it. You can do it with a heat gun. Of course, don't burn it, or a hairdryer, but just warming the leather and leaving it sit, even overnight, even if you're not going to ride for a week, leave it for a week. Because what will happen is, now you've got a combination of things. You've got the tight fit on the hands, and you've got it that it's very easy to put them on, whether you're doing video or you just want to ride. But having comfortable gloves, I would say this, the most important safety thing on a whole motorcycle, having a good helmet. Number 2, having good gloves. Number 3, having, you know, proper riding gear. But the 2 things that really take a beating in a crash is your head and your hands, especially if you go sliding along. Your hands, it's like sliding along on a belt sander. And ask me how I know. And I'm just doing this as a demo with an ordinary hair dryer. I would not want to use a heat gun. Just don't want to take a chance on burning up a $200 set of gloves. Now, it seems like this wouldn't work. But yet, think about it. Well, anytime you bend leather, it usually, when it cools down, it usually stays bent. In a real extreme case, I could use my steamer and steam these, and that would also do the same thing. But I've done this a few times already, and so I wanted to show that just as a demo, and that trick is on several other previous videos. Okay, now these gloves are probably 4 or 5 years old already, and I've maintained them. What happens in our part of the country, maybe not in some other places, but when you take a winter ride, almost every time there'll be salt on the road. The salt winds up getting on the leather and drying it out if you don't clean it once in a while. This is, let me show the product. This is Hubbard's is really a neat's foot oil. I got this years ago off of Amazon. I put it on many of the videos. I've done jackets, boots, anything made out of leather. I've done Karen's leather jacket. And what it does, number 1, it cleans the leather just a little bit. It also softens the leather, which in a case of gloves is really nice. And it could be that it extends the life of the gloves, because I've had several pair of gloves that at the end the stitching came out and different things. Well, because these are expensive gloves, these are GP Plus, you would think maybe these are going to last longer than the ones from Uzbekistan. I don't know. So far they've lasted pretty well. I think this is about 5 years that I've got them. But the biggest thing is, and here's what really counts to me, I got to be able to get them on and off conveniently. At the same time, they got to fit. Now, the oil, when your hand is in the glove and you do this, it's letting the glove stretch into position, just like you would do if you have, and I know people that have Karen has a shoe stretcher. So if one of her feet are a little tight on the shoes or whatever, in my case, you could use a shoe stretcher. I could use an underwear stretcher sometimes. But anyway, I like to protect my investment. I like to let this now, when I'm all done with it, let it sit overnight, let that oil soak in. I just like the thought of having something that's as well maintained as I can possibly make it. Now there's a final tip, and this is one of the ones I wanted to show. I'm going to do the other glove off camera, but at some point I'll have both gloves oiled up and all the little nooks and crevices and everything, and then I'll show you my final little thing that works for me. So both of the gloves have a nice coating of neat's foot oil, and I learned a lot when I used to play baseball. We used to use neat's foot oil on the glove, of course, and even at a super amateur level, you always wanted to have a glove that was nice and flexible. You never could, it's hard to describe. And I know, absolutely I know, when gloves don't fit right, you tend to be, oh God, oh no, they're too stiff or too, well, what this allows you to do is have maximum protection and maximum ease of getting it on and off, and maximum comfort, all at the same time. Now this is one of the things I like to do at least once a year. Get my old hair dryer going, warm the whole glove up, in fact warm both of them up, needless to say, and you can feel the heat go right through. Once you know the glove is warm, you know it's warm now, then I can take the oil on a hot glove, and that heat really makes a difference, and I can get it to go really soak in. And if I get caught in the rain, or if there's a bunch of salt on the road, and there always is, I just hate the fact that I've spent a lot of money for a pair of gloves. I get them to the point that they fit perfectly. They really are comfortable. They protect me. And believe me, if the first time you see somebody go down on a motorcycle and they're wearing Home Depot gloves, you you'll buy a pair of gloves. In fact, there's a story, Ray will let me share this story. I know he has a friend, we won't mention his name, but he's the cheapest guy in the world. Cheap, 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 cheap. Ray, you know who it is. His initials are RM. We'll not mention his name. Went skiing years and years ago, and he didn't think he needed new good gloves up in Killington, Vermont, or no, in Mad River Glen it was. And it was so cold, he got to the top of the mountain. He says, I'm going to go buy a pair of gloves in the ski lodge. Money is no object. But that's what happens when you see somebody have a motorcycle accident with $10 gloves. You run off to the place and you buy gloves, and money is no object. And this is one of the critical steps. While that oil is on the surface, let it soak in. The heat helps it soak in. And it also does another thing that's kind of important. It allows those gloves, if they're tight, to just conform to your hands. Just like you're making those custom car seat covers that have to wrap around the dashboard and everything. So at the end of this, now when these dry out, of course I'll wipe the palms with a very clean microfiber. But the oil that's on there on the surface comes right off. And boy, oh boy, I can feel right now, and these gloves have been neat's foot oiled over the years many, many times. But now it almost feels like you're not wearing gloves. It really, really makes a big difference between the heat and the neat's foot oil. And if you do this, every time you do it, the gloves are going to be more conforming to your hands. Now that's already soaked in there good, because I don't want to have a lot of this on the hand grips. And actually most of it is soaked in. By the morning, the rest of it will soak in anyway. Clean microfiber, clean that up. And I can feel the difference. Now you may not if you have very thin, cheesy gloves, but these gloves are really, these are like the most protective gloves I think you can buy. They're all protection there. The two end fingers are sewn together. They got pads everywhere. I think this is worth the money. I don't skimp on safety equipment. And because I try to ride almost every day, I figure sooner or later something's got to happen that I want to be wearing good safety equipment. And boy, does that make a difference. Wow. Between the heat and the neat's foot oil, these gloves are twice as comfortable as they were an hour ago. Now I found this to be really handy because in my individual case, I'm taking gloves on and off all day long. I don't need to do it up by the gauntlet, but just one tiny amount of talcum powder. It doesn't have to be a lot. And what happens on a hot, sweaty day, I'm sure everybody knows that rides in hot, sweaty days, how difficult it can be just pulling the gloves off. Just that tiny little bit of talcum powder, you can get them on. And in my case, when I'm doing this out on the road and I'm taking pictures on and off, on and off, on and off, a tiny, tiny amount. Now, in the past, I've tried using cornstarch, baby powder, doesn't seem to really matter. And if you're really fussy, you can put the powder in like this and just do that, and that spreads it all through the whole glove. And that's another nice little thing to make the gloves as comfortable and easy to get on and off as possible. Now, because I have the material out already and I've got plenty of this, any of the leather spots on my boots, again, these are going to get, first time we ride on a day right after they salt the roads, and it's going to make a difference. And the boots are now $250, and I think I'm on my 5th pair here over the years, and I save all the old ones just to remind me, take care of them while they're like this. And it really pays. The maintenance is easy. You don't need to do the Velcro parts, of course, but a little bit of heat, a little bit of neat's foot oil. They not only look better, the fact that it protects them and makes them waterproof, and maybe that they'll even last a little longer. Now, this is very funny, and I'll show this real quick. I want to take a picture of that. Kind of a before and after, but seriously, the gear that we use, I mean, I've got thousands of dollars worth of gear that I've bought over the years, and I really want to take care of it. So this is kind of a before, after. Before, after. I think that's pretty cool. They really do come out nice with that neat's foot oil, but I know some people strive to have the homeless look, or the I'm a tough guy look, or I'm a gefilte fish look. I like just looking like I have clean stuff on. So I do want to thank you for watching. I hope some of this information is usable. I like having nice clean stuff, and I like not having to replace it on a regular basis, or if it ever has to put to the test to protect me, it's in top condition. Threads aren't missing, it's not worn through somewhere. Anyway, just me. Not on this video, but on previous videos I've mentioned about helmets. I upgraded to the Shoei X14. What a great helmet. The Alpine Star gloves and boots, expensive, pricey a little bit, but well worth the money. And if you see anybody have an accident and they're wearing cheesy equipment, you'll be like Ray's friend, RM. Run off, money is no object. Anyway, I want to thank the healthcare workers. And guys, I really appreciate that my family has been healthy through this whole virus. I hope your family's been healthy too. And on some future video, I'm going to do my whole jacket and pants, and maybe we'll neat foot oil that down. That takes a couple hours for me to do it right. Show some of the things I've done to maintain that equipment. That may be coming as a separate video. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Now this will give you some idea of why maintaining those gloves is worth every penny. Now, a lot of the rides we've gone on in the past, and some of these are really old videos, when the roads are like this and the snow is still 2 feet high, there's a lot of crap on the road. Just look at the tires of the motorcycles, and that gets all over your expensive leathers. Look at the salt on the tires of the bike. That gets all over everything. It gets on your back, on your shoes, on your boots. And so this is, if you're not going to ride in cold weather, maybe a little less important. But the truth is, I like to ride in this weather, even if it's a short ride, just a couple hours. And I remember many times going out, really being cold, and then having to clean the bike, of course, is a nightmare. But then going into the house, taking a leather jacket off and looking at the jacket and the gloves, they'd be white. And so this is why I say that neat foot oil, if you're going to ride in these Siberian conditions, it's a good investment. And this, by the way, is a memorable day. I always use this as one of the things I send pictures out to people that live in warm weather climates. I call it the ride to road closed. We rode up, Joe Roselli, Luciano, and myself. We rode up to the sign, road closed. The snow was 3 feet high. So we always have a good laugh at that. And sometimes you go up there and there's that much snow on the ground and the roads are reasonably clean. You can get into it a little bit. But when that salt is on the road, hey boy, and the lakes are just getting thawed out, that's the worst time of all. Here we go. Look at us. Warriors. Not sure that's the right word. Anyway, I thought I'd show a couple of pictures just to make everybody feel nice and warm. I do enjoy making the videos. I enjoy sharing these little tips, little items that have made my life a little bit easier, a little bit more fun, maybe a little less expensive. And in some of the things that I regard as money is no object. Gloves, helmet, boots, and leathers. Money is no object. I don't look around for $5 eBay purchases. I like to get something that's going to protect me if the worst of all worlds happens. So I hope you did enjoy the video. I enjoy editing them. I enjoy making them. I enjoy going on the rides. And thanks so much, guys, for watching.